Hello everyone and welcome back to the round of 64. Rakgoska here bringing you this game, and we've got rank 3 Jared spawning as the yellow Zerg in the northern position, and we have Shiar, the red Protoss, rank 14 spawning in the southern position here on Zelnaga Caverns. And I had recorded this game already once, but apparently it was all like, your hard drive is full, and I'm like, no it's not, because I've been recording and casting all day, but apparently it didn't realize that I had already deleted the necessary files to make more space, but apparently it was just retarded and decided that I did not have the space. Here we go, we have the first probe moving out, the scout probe, the harassment probe, the most annoying. I always hate that when I play Terran and they always send that probe out right away, and it gets to my base, and they're like, oh look, you're building your barracks. I'm going to try and kill that SCV while it's building. That really makes me mad. In fact, it drives me crazy. Because then I got to pull another worker off just to deal with that probe. It's not cool. So, Protoss players, when you're going into a Terran base for scouting, and you see that SCV trying to build a building, just kill it. You'll delay your opponent and cause him a lot of grief. Meanwhile, we do have 2 drones on their way down. Where are these drones going? Looks like they are going to build an expansion. There it goes. Now it's going down. Alrighty. And it looks like Shiar's probe is going to head out, and is he going to spot that expansion going up? Yes. Yes, he is. What's he going to do? I'm going to attack it. There you go. We've got probe versus hatchery. Who's going to win? I'm going to put my money on the hatchery. But had that been like a marine or something, it might have been a different story. But this probe is going to do some pretty good damage to this hatchery, it looks like. Alright, meanwhile here we have the drone scout heading into the Protoss base. Meanwhile, the gateway is just about finished. One thing you can do versus your Protoss player as Zerg is hover around the spot that he's going to put his cybernetics core. Most players like to wall off against Zerg. So if you just keep your drone hovering around this area right here, hey, no need for a... you can block the cybernetics core, forcing him to put it back here, or up here, or even just delaying it. And looks like Shiar's probe is just zapping away at this hatchery. And it looks like it is going to finish with like 1,200 life. That probe is getting his money's worth today, doing 5 damage. That probe's been sitting there for quite a while. But it looks like Jared really isn't too concerned about that. We do have a couple of Zerglings, though, on their way in. And it looks like he is going to get ready to take down that probe. Meanwhile, here we do have a gas steel, and it looks like Shiar really likes using his probes for zapping things. We've got these 3 probes working on this extractor. We've got this probe here working on this hatchery. So it looks like Shiar is going to be building a probe army to take down his opponent, as opposed to a zealot stalker army. Nope, just straight probes. Don't need any other buildings. Meanwhile, we have a double gas steel up in the Zerg's natural base, which probably won't slow the Zerg down too much, as he is building a couple spine crawlers down there as well. And he hasn't even taken the gas in his natural yet, so I don't think he's going to need that too terribly soon. Meanwhile, we do have Shiar, who did manage to take down his gas steel, and will be able to get his tech going as he's now throwing down that assimilator. Meanwhile, Queen and Spine, it looks like this assimilator did get cancelled. Meanwhile, we have Queen and Spine Crawler action going on that assimilator, and will they get it taken down in time? Yes, it looks like they will, as the Queen pauses just for a second to get her larva inject. Well, looks like spawning pool is been finished for just a little bit, getting heavy on the drones, going drone. No other queens in production as of just yet, but it looks like he will manage to get this assimilator taken down quite handedly. As you can see, it's starting to spark and arc electricity as it is now. Boom, there it goes. In a fit of electricity, it goes down. Meanwhile, Zerglings do manage to make their way into the Protoss base, and they are going to get into the mineral line. How much damage are they going to do? None so far. Oh, looks like pulling all the probes off to deal with these few Zerglings. None of the probes get killed, but it looks like those 2 Zerglings did manage to get chased away, and the probes now begin to return their mining duties. Meanwhile, we do have those 2 sneaky Zerglings hiding out in the base, and bam. Bam. Alright, just some minor shield damage done to that Stalker. Meanwhile, we do have a couple of Zerglings here streaming down the map. Are they going to get into the base as well? There is an opening. Oh, and it looks like he gets a Zealot in time on hold position. So it looks like he will be able to thwart off these 4 Zerglings that are on their way up, as we do have quite a few sentries. Yes? No? Ooh. Sneaky probe. Sneaky probe. Probe builds a pylon and... oh, manages to stay alive with that sneaky probe. Meanwhile, these 2 Zerglings are retreating in not full retreat. They don't have speed yet. They're in slow retreat. They're just kind of hopping along like, hey, we can't make it into the base. Let's hop back. And where do they decide to head to? Looks like they are headed for the 3rd base, which is not there. Meanwhile, we have Gateway on its way, as well as a Forge for the Protoss player. If we sneak a peek over at the Zerg base, we've got quite a few spine crawlers for defense. Lair is on the way, as well as getting an in-base hatchery. And still, ooh, double Evo chambers now on the way up as well. Ooh, hallucination being researched, as well as warping in more sentries, more probes coming on. We've got this game underway. Let's see what's going on here. We've got larvae spawning off of the hatcheries. We've got queens injecting. We've got no attacking. Oh well. Maybe some other day. Meanwhile, we have a probe moving out towards the top of the map. Zerglings pulling off the tower. Gonna chase down. No, they're not gonna chase down that probe. They realize that probes move just as fast as they do, and they will, oh, I guess slightly slower. And they'll have a hard time catching that up, as that probe does manage to make a proxy pylon near the gold base for the Zerg player, and then get poked in the eye. Good work, probe. Built a pylon, get poked in the eye. 2 more gateways now on their way up as well for Shiar. Meanwhile, Jared is working on getting his +1/+1, as well as a Baneling Nest and a Roach Warren. 34 Zerglings are on their way, as he does realize that some kind of Protoss army has to be coming soon, as it is now getting close to the 10-minute mark, and there has been no advance just yet. Meanwhile, we do have 2 Phoenixes flying across the map. Wait, those aren't real Phoenixes. Those are hallucinated. They're not real, but they look real. And to our Zerg player, when they spots them in his base, is going to think they're very real, as they begins picking away at those overlords, sees the Baneling Nest going up, and just continuing to fly around, poking up some more overlords. Hydra Den is now on the way, so our Zerg player did fall for that trap. Got that Hydra Den thrown down, and meanwhile those Phoenixes do look like they're going to be taken out. Does he decide to cancel it when he realizes that they're hallucinated? We will have to... no, there it goes. Disappears right outside the base. Meanwhile, here we do have several more units morphing in. Sentries here with lots of armor or energy. And meanwhile, the Zerglings are working on taking down those destructible rocks. And it looks like we have a... there's a drone coming soon. Where is that drone? Where is that pesky drone? There he comes. Pesky drone is on his way to the 3rd to build a 3rd base hatchery. Realizes that the Protoss army is here, and decides that now is the time to engage. Guardian shield going up, and oh, look at all those zealots. Yeah, using those zealots to absorb some of that spine crawler fire. Meanwhile, here we do have some of the real zealots surrounding the those spine crawlers, able to do some damage, and it looks like we have hallucinated units as well as real units. More stalkers are on their way in, forcing the stalkers to retreat, though, as the Roach army is managing to overtake these stalkers. And I don't think that the stalker army is going to be able to hold against this Roach force. Does manage to take out a queen, though. Banelings are on their way in, but getting stuck behind the Roach wall, and decides that no, he doesn't need to use the Banelings. These Roaches will be able to clean this up, no problem. And there they go. Supply is currently 117 to 49. Shiar is in a very bad spot, as he is currently behind, getting a robotics facility on its way. 10 more Roaches morphing in. Missile attacks level 1 on their way up, as well as rebuilding those spine crawlers. And it looks like the Roaches do decide to pick off a stalker and take down that proxy pylon. Will he attack right away, or will he decide to... oh, looks like he is backing up. Looks like he wants to get those destructible rocks taken down before he before he attacks, sending out the drone yet again to build that base. And it looks like this time the drone is going to be able to build that no problem. Baneling speed on the way, as well as armor level 2 and 8 more Zerglings. And it looks like our robotics facility is just about done. What's the unit we're going to produce? No, we're not going to produce any. Oh, pylon. We're going to produce a pylon. Which seems silly. I don't think he needed a pylon. Lots of stalkers and zealots in the mineral line, just kind of hanging out, guarding the probes, making sure that they're doing okay. You know, you got to babysit your probes as a Protoss player. You can, you know, stick a couple stalkers in there, a couple Dark Templar, just, you know, hang out, watch the probes, make sure that, you know, they're still mining. If they stop mining, just hit them with your zealot blades, your psi blades. Meanwhile, here we do have a very large Zerg army building at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and it looks like we have a group of Zerglings deciding that they don't want to be with the army. They want to go scout. Here they are heading down into the third base, and nothing. Definitely some empty scouting here, but we do have several more roaches on their way down, as we do have these hatches pumping out larvae as fast as possible. No hydras actually coming out of the hydra den. Looks like he wanted to get it just in case there was some kind of shenanigans. Meanwhile, roaches are heading down here to the natural base, looking like they don't want to attack, but now they do want to engage this army. Looks like they were on just a bit of a move command here, forcing the army to break apart, getting the banelings in there, taking out a huge chunk of those stalkers. Meanwhile, the roaches are sitting back, doing as much damage to the zealots as possible. Roaches now moving up onto that immortal and managed to get it taken out as well. Taking down the last few bit of the zealots, working on that cannon. Now they're focusing on the Nexus, and Shiar is forced to tap out of this game. Final supply 116 to 46. And it looks like Jared is moving on to the round of 32. Shiar has been eliminated. And we will see you guys for the next game. Thank you and have a good evening.